Oh, hey, Mike.
Oh, hey, Casey. Long time no see. What have you been up to?
Well, I had to battle the archdemon, and then I had to convince my fiance Alistair to do it with this witch, and he really didn't want to. And then somebody stole my sweet roll of all things, and then I had to go talk to the Greybeards because apparently I'm a dragonborn now. I don't know, no big deal.
Do you want to do a show?
Oh, like the Infinite Loop show?
Hello, welcome to the Infinite Loop Show, episode number 45, the triumphant return of Casey Coughlin. Say hello.
Hi. I like Max.
Still?
I still like Max, even though I hear Apple's totally going down the crapper and quality is just off the charts and everybody should just jump off the bandwagon.
I am Michael Gaines, and of course, this is Casey Coughlin, who was battling a CSS monster for quite a long time. You've been busy.
Yes.
Just a bit.
Recently, yeah, more so with console games than anything else.
Oh, is that it?
Very important things,
Very important things. All right. Well, some of the important things are the news. We're gonna do a look back at 2012, but there are a couple of news items that we're gonna talk about right now. I picked this up on read. I always have trouble saying this.
I know. They do it on purpose, I think. It's a conspiracy to make everyone just trip over their own tongue.
Readwriteweb.com, readwrite.com. They have an article written by a former Apple employee talking about how he bought an iMac, which turned out to be an iLemon. Oh, that was cute.
But that's never happened before.
No, never. Apple products are so perfect.
They're 100%, and especially for the Apple employees, because I hear they got a pile of just 110% computers that never fail,
Never.
and that Apple employees get to buy from, and that he would get a lemon out of this magical unicorn pile of computers. I mean, if that doesn't scream Apple's going down the crapper, then I don't know what does.
He was pissy about the fact that his hard drive was having problems. Now, as everybody knows, Apple does not make the hard drives, and anybody who's been in this business for a long time knows that every now and then you get a bad hard drive. And look what happened with me and this whole Seagate issue that I had a few months ago. I mean, sometimes things like this happen.
Hard drives die. And, you hope that they live a while before that, but sometimes they don't.
Sure.
And sometimes you have to cry about it.
So he was talking about how the quality at Apple is going downhill. He had some other problems with an SD card reader that was going bad, and Bluetooth was going bad. I tend to question things like this sometimes. Not that I don't believe it, but I don't believe the validity of all of it. And not only that, but anybody who's been an Apple employee for 20 years, like he says he was.
Oh, this isn't even one of the new ones.
No, it's not.
This is one he bought back in 2010, and like 2 years later it died, and now he's bitching?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, seriously.
Yeah, seriously. Exactly.
For reals, dude.
Now, look, this Mac Pro that I have, I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but I did fix it with a new video card, so it is up and running again, even though I am going to get rid of it. It lasted for a long time. Every Mac that I've ever had has lasted a long time. I did have a hard drive go at one point many years ago.
But even if they don't, I mean, traditionally Macs last a lot longer, and they run better longer too. Not just that they last longer than PCs, but they, like you could have a Mac last and just not be running very well. But they run better longer than PCs too. Traditionally, usually, vast majority, not 100%, not all the time, not every single Mac is going to be, the best machine forever and ever. But still, like, all electronics fail. Everything fails at some point. And really, I mean, unless it was just a bucket of problems the whole 2 years. It sounds like you got 2 years out of it at least.
Well, for people watching the video, I started putting up this prop on my desk, which is an old iBook, the Bondi Blue iBook, the original one. And this thing still runs. It's been running since I bought it.
But you're not going to do work on it. It's not like,
no. But the point is,
it runs, but it's not like I'm going to do, I don't know, word processing on it.
No,
it's something on it.
I actually turned it on recently. The screen is starting to go. Like the screen works, the light works, but it's starting to dim a little bit.
Yeah, it's it's over 10 years old.
Oh yeah, I tried running stuff on this thing. It's terrible. Not just because it's old, but it works. That's my point. Is that he got a lemon, and one bad computer out of millions of computers. Now all of a sudden he thinks that the quality on Apple is going downhill. I think
that's always been the case. I mean,
sure. And if you read the comments, people are like, "What kind of crap is this?" Because they expect more from Read Write Web than tripe like this.
Oh, then yeah, this kind of seems like one of those where they're just leading with the title to try and get hits and views.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's a pile-on, Apple shitfest article. Let's all run and click on this link.
Yes, link bait. I don't like link bait. I took the link bait. I'm just talking about it because
now we're talking about it.
And now we're talking about it on the show. No, I'm
crap.
bringing it up because I'm just saying that these are the kinds of articles that I don't like to write and I don't like to read. Do your homework, I think. And not only that, but you had a problem with your hard drive and you brought it in and you had it replaced.
Yeah, I mean, well, I had to pay for it. Obviously, they didn't.
Yeah, but
see, the thing too is a lot of people. Like I have a lot of friends who have iPhones and stuff, and they come to me thinking like I have this secret handshake or something with Apple that will get them free replacements or upgrades or whatever. And I had to do Apple. I mean, with the iPhone early on and the iPad, yeah, they used to be a little more lenient with screen crack replacements, but they're not God. They're not,
Right.
whatever. You go in and they'll fix it, but obviously you have to pay for it. And I pay for it just like anybody else. I had to pay like $400 to get the hard drive replaced.
Sure.
Well, and the graphics card, but
yeah, that was due to heat.
Yeah, because we game on the iMac on high settings, and the iMac has notoriously bad airflow in it, and obviously, but it's like 3 years old, and the hard drive and graphics card just went out. I don't know. I think that's more due to, like I said, our wear and tear on it. If you were just using it as like doing homework or maybe even just Photoshop, probably wouldn't burn it up as much as we did.
For podcasting.
Or
Xcode.
Podcasting wouldn't be, Xcode wouldn't, put as heavy a load on it.
App Store, now let me see where this comes from, 9to5Mac. They're reporting that the App Store on Christmas Day, just the other day, downloads increased 87% and revenue rose 70%. Now, this could be attributed, of course, to gift cards.
Yeah.
Well, Christmas, of course, but gift cards and new devices.
Yeah, no, both of those, I'm sure. So it's not terribly surprising, but I'm sure
obvious.
Those were crazy hot items. I mean, I gave out a lot of App Store gift cards as gifts. It's if you don't know anything else to give somebody, it's a good go-to thing, and they're going to use it if they have an iPhone or an iPad or more. Something everybody can use. So I'm not surprised that they had like crazy downloads.
I saw a lot of gift cards as gifts this year. Tons. In places where I didn't expect them, with people that I didn't expect them.
Well, all you need is like at least an iPhone. How many people have iPhones and not Macs or whatever? Or just an iPad or more than one device. It's that the market saturation, I think, as far as iPhone goes, is much deeper than, the market share for Mac computers is still relatively small, but iPhones, it's some deep penetration. And so that's what she said. Of course, then, that's going to lend itself to more gift cards because there you go.
Yeah, it's true. All right. 2012 news. These are the big news of the year that we're just going to cover briefly. We're not going to go too much into it. The big one, I think, this year was the Samsung patent garbage.
Oh, Samsung.
How we love to hate you.
Yeah, indeed. Samsung was a big news article like every couple months, it seemed this year.
And then every couple of days, and then it dropped off a little bit. This story doesn't seem to be going away. Because
because they're still making products, and Apple will still sue them.
Well, not only that, but now Apple is starting to lose some of their patents. I was very surprised.
Obviously, that's just making Samsung fight harder because hey, there's a chance, there's a break in the armor.
Yeah, I was very surprised that the pinch to zoom was invalidated. I don't understand that. I read about it, but I mean, if you invent something. Then,
I don't know that. Did they really though on that one and there was another one that was hard to say because it seems like they've been around so long that I don't think maybe Apple was the first to really make it popular and put it on everything, but I don't know if Apple invented it.
I was under the impression from what I read that they did. But as well as I do that even if you don't invent it, if you patent it, you that's yours.
Yeah.
So this is still going on. It's going to go on for a while.
But isn't it's different courts that are handling this lawsuit than what awarded the patents? So
all over the world.
Those don't really coincide.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a patent awarded from the one court and then have this fight. Well, even like the lawsuits in Europe where Apple won in Europe and then lost in the US.
Mm-hmm. Or the other way around.
Yeah.
So this is ongoing. It's not going to end for a while. I think that the two companies they said they were going to sit down and work it out and they didn't.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's happened before. It happened with Apple and Microsoft. They were able to come to terms many years ago. But the whole GUI issue.
I feel like they were more in a position to benefit mutually because at the time Microsoft was more strictly a software company and Apple was more strictly a hardware company. So they could work together easier, whereas Samsung is a hardware company, Apple's a hardware company, and they're having issues over the hardware. Right. So I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay. All right, you wrote this one down, Lodsis. This was a winner.
Yeah, yay. This was just a bunch of crap, and not that we need to talk about it very long, but Lodsis was that seemed like just a troll going around suing app developers directly over patents instead of going after Apple. So it seemed like they won more because app developers were just kind of scared and didn't want to lose or get in a lot of trouble, so they were just settling with a lot of small developers, which is kind of sad. Yeah. And Apple didn't really do anything about it for a while to stand up. But I mean, at the same time, it's not like, I don't know, if they're developers for their platform, how much does Apple, how much is that like under Apple's umbrella? Like it's not Apple's fault, and they didn't, do they need to like come to the aid of everybody who develops for their platform?
Mm-hmm. Well, if Apple is the company directly responsible for this for the system that they were being sued, that the developers are being sued for, then I think that Apple should have stepped in earlier, a lot earlier, like immediately. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it's true because they were suing over patents that were things in the OS, so that Apple put in the SDK that the developers are then utilizing, not like they chose what was in the SDK.
Yeah, so that's scary though, because there are a lot of patent trolls out there, and not even that. It's not even so much the patent trolls that are out there now. It's the companies that are getting bought and sold by unscrupulous people that can become patent trolls. Companies are being bought just for their patents so that somebody can sit there and say, well, we're going to sue the pants off of all these indie developers just because we can. And
because we can't actually make a product ourselves, so we'll just...
Apple Maps. Oh, Lordy.
Where do we even begin?
Oh, I so wanted Apple Maps to kick ass, and it didn't. This was the first time in a long time, in a very long time, where I looked at an Apple product and I just went, "No, this is terrible."
Oh, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, it's horrible, but at the same time, like a Maps platform takes a long time and it's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody right off was like, A, this is horrible, and B, why couldn't they be like Google? Why isn't it as good as Google Maps? You know, what's the problem? Well, you're comparing like year 1 of Apple Maps to year, 10 of Google Maps?
Yeah.
Google Maps wasn't that great in the beginning either. Like, when it first came out, nobody wanted to use it. Everybody kept using MapQuest.
That's right. I forgot about
so
MapQuest.
It's not like Google Maps was awesome right out the gate. It took them years and years of massaging that data. Because it's not just, and other people brought up that point too, that, well, they're getting data from TomTom, and TomTom's good. So what's going on there? Like Apple's injecting wrong data or something into the Maps app. It's not just getting the raw data, but you have to then massage it and figure out, okay, well, this actually means this, or, do a little bit of kind of context analysis. Because a lot of, like, we ran into a problem up here in the mountains where Apple Maps told us to go up a road, but it was a one-way road, so we couldn't.
Yeah,
it just saw a road and said, well, here, you can take this road. It goes to where you need to go. But it's like, well, no, it's one way. I can't.
Yeah. I fixed a bunch of things I submitted fixes for things on Apple Maps. They never showed up. To this day, they're still not fixed.
Well,
and
how long a list do you really think, they're fixes? I'm sure they're probably sitting on just a pile of stuff.
I'm sure. I'm not saying that, Mike Gaines put in something.
Let's forward this to the front of the line.
No, Apple stood up on stage and said, this will get better as more data is put into it. So why isn't the stuff that I've submitted fixed yet? How long is that going to take? That's what I'm saying. Is it going to take a week, a month, a year, 2 years?
Probably years. There's still job openings on apple.com for map developers. And what was the other one I saw that was really weird? Like a search data analysis position.
Okay.
But no, they're trying, I'm sure they're trying to hire bodies on as quickly as possible to tackle this. And I'm sure they're just sitting on a huge queue of fixes from users.
I'm sure. Apple took a bunch of crap for something as simple as the fact that the icon has somebody making a left turn onto a bridge, which you can't do on Route 280. It's silly things like that people were complaining about. And yes, I'm looking at some of the data that I asked to be fixed. It's still not fixed. But,
well, I'm sorry. I will call Tim right now and tell him to get on Mike Gaines.
Now, Google Maps is finally out for iOS similarly. And yes. I have to say, I really like this app.
I think it's okay. I mean, it's not like the second coming that everybody wanted it to be, I don't think.
It's not.
It's got some bugs of its own, weirdly enough. But it's obviously closer to where you want a Maps app to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. There's one weird thing about it is that it says that it can't show, let me try it again, can't show public transit information in this area. I don't understand why, because the previous, see, this is another thing. It says that
a lot. It says that anywhere I am and I check it, and even in San Diego where the transit's much better than Orange County or LA, it still says that.
Yeah, I don't understand why, because the last Google Maps app, the one that Apple had public transit information. Yeah. So why doesn't this one? This is that weird stuff where nobody's answering these questions. Like, you had the data in the last app. Why isn't it in this app? It would make logical sense.
I don't know. Unless they didn't. Unless that was Apple or...
I don't know. Not directly associated with Apple, but strongly tied with it is Instagram. And
Right.
I wanted to mention this real fast. They made a little faux pas with their new terms of service. Basically, the language of the terms of service said that they can make money off of your pictures, but you don't make a dime off of it. What they neglected to explain was that these were going to be, I guess you would call it personalized ads, where the way that I saw it described was if Budweiser wanted to advertise, put a little ad on Instagram, and they have a picture from one of your friends with a Budweiser bottle, they can pull that. And they can't modify the picture. Legally, they can't modify the picture, but they can put the picture next to something that says Budweiser or something like that. And then that would be the little ad. And everybody just went nuts because of the language of the terms of service and jumped ship to Flickr. And now my Instagram feed is dead. I used to get at least 100 people a week, even during the 100 people a day, even during the holidays. And now my Flickr feed has risen a lot.
I haven't seen, well, on my end anyways, like I haven't seen that many people in my stream jump ship from Instagram. I thought a lot more would. And it's almost unaffected. And I haven't gotten any news from Flickr from people I know, which is weird. But I don't know. I still use Instagram mainly because I think it's still the best for cross posting, and that's really the only reason I ever used it, because I can just post to one thing and it will go out to Twitter, to Flickr, to Facebook, to Foursquare, and hit everything at once. And really, the way I kind of took the language was that it's only using, like if Instagram wanted to do an ad for Instagram somewhere and just happened to come across a picture of yours that was really great and they wanted to use it, it could without asking you first.
Right.
Which, A, I feel like, what are the chances of that happening?
Right.
And B, if they want to use me to promote Instagram, then do I really care?
Do you care? And not only that, but we're putting our stuff on their servers for free. We're using their stuff for free.
Right. You're posting, I mean, every time you post stuff to the internet, there's a chance of it getting picked up and used or pushed back in your face. You're taking that chance every time anyways to have that thing come back and haunt you. There's really no privacy to begin with, so why is everybody getting all worked up? I mean, if it was like a work of art that I made and then someone took and reprinted, framed, and then was reselling, that would be a different thing. But if they're using photos from the service in an ad to promote the service, then I kind of don't feel like that's as bad because I'm giving them my photos anyways.
Sure. The whole Foxconn Mike Daisy issue this year. Oh, all right. So, I mean, bad things are happening at Foxconn. There are reports of underage workers and suicides and all these horrible, nasty things. So Tim Cook took a trip and went out there. In a related story is that Mike Daisy, who's well known. Well, I didn't know him.
He's more well known.
I didn't know him, but a lot of people apparently did. He did a report on Foxconn, and everybody was just crazy about this report because he was saying about all these horrible things that were happening. And it turns out that some of them weren't even true. He made them up. He was
really blowing things out of proportion and making things up to really kind of over sensationalize the whole thing. He saw that it was kind of a big deal or a growing story, and he really kind of took harness of that. So then he got a ton of publicity. He was on NPR, which NPR has since really apologized, and they did a whole show breaking it down and showing like what he said that was false and how sorry they were, and how since then they're going to great lengths to really vet their sources. But he got like a ton of fame off of it, and then obviously kind of a lot of negative fame when the story broke that he had made up most of it.
If you're going to be a journalist, please do your job properly. That's all I
Or
can say.
don't call yourself a journalist. Say,
Yeah.
I don't know, you work for the Onion or something.
No, the reason why people do that is because when you use the word journalist, then there's this air of respect around you, and
Well,
then you
yeah,
get invited to things.
assume that they're reporting facts.
Well, yes, but not only that, but today there are only two things: you're either a journalist or a blogger. And as soon as you hear the word blogger, all of a sudden now you're some guy living in a dungeon, in your home, typing away about crap. And I know for a fact, I know people that call themselves bloggers that are very respected. So I'm not trying
I think the thing with blogger is it could go either way.
It can go either way, right? When you say journalist, people say, "Well, you've worked hard, you went to school."
One way.
When you say you're a blogger, you're a guy who rolls out of bed, or girl that rolls out of bed and starts typing, or types in bed. And that's that, right?
No one can respect someone who types in bed. I mean, really.
I'm just saying that's the vision that people have. So if you're a company and you want to promote something, you want to give it to the journalist. That's where this comes from. So when somebody like this makes a big mistake, it puts a stain on people that maybe didn't go to journalism school and are doing a very good job and are trying very hard to break that mold of what the word blogger or internet journalist may be. And people like this screw it up.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But Foxconn, apparently things at Foxconn are supposed to be getting better. I don't work there. I don't know. But they are starting to, they're trying to break into working in the United States, building things in the United States. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. You know what really screws things up, though?
What?
Flashback Trojans.
I tell you, those damn Trojans get you every time.
Now it just sounds like we're ripping on USC.
No. Well, I was thinking something else, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, those are good Trojans. They work every time.
Okay.
The Flashback Trojan is a wholly different purpose.
Yes.
This was the Mac virus that we saw kind of rear its ugly head 2 times. I almost want to say 3, but I think it was 2 times this year. Taking advantage of a Java loophole that was actually around for quite a long time and finally got patched up by both Oracle and Apple pushed out updates. But Apple responded much quicker than Oracle did, oddly enough.
There was one thing I forgot to mention because right after I said the words "we'll see," I remembered that yesterday I read a report. I'm going to put it in the show notes for you right now. There's a link. Apple and Foxconn are planning to make Mac Minis in the United States. Forgot to mention that.
Is that what this Mac production in the U.S. is going to be?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Bert.
Yeah.
Not the Mac you wanted. It's the Mac you deserved.
Not the Mac I wanted. No, not the Mac Pro. Although that may still happen. Who knows? There's a very good case for building the Mac Pro in the United States is that you can put it together. There aren't a lot of complex parts
you
for
could
this thing.
literally put it together with 4 Mac Minis. Just duct tape them together. And there you go.
You could do that. So I wanted to be clear about that point. Anyway, back to the Flashback Trojan. Do you have Java turned off on your machine now?
No.
I don't either.
I'm just...
living on the edge?
Yeah, just letting it all hang out, blowing in the wind.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people this is really going to affect. And I don't use Java very often, but I do use it, and I don't want to have to flip
that
stuff
was kind
off.
of what I was thinking, like how many Java apps do I run into, how many websites do I run into that run Java, not JavaScript,
right.
Java,
right?
That's kind of getting long in the tooth, so you don't run into it a whole lot, but also I don't know, like I just didn't, if you keep up with your updates, I don't think it was that big a deal. It actually was a bigger deal for older machines running Snow Leopard.
Yeah.
Which, that's like, 3 years ago? Come on.
Give it the program.
Seriously.
I know some people can't. The Mac Pro, this old thing can't run
I know,
anything past Snow Leopard. So, those lame Samsung Galaxy S3 ads, which made Apple people look like morons.
Yeah.
No, sorry, didn't buy them. Thought they were dumb. And really, who I still this whole let's touch phones. Let's touch phones. The ad itself.
I'm not gonna do that. What I gotta get in my car, drive to your house.
Exactly, just so I could
go. House so we could touch phones, or I could freaking text it to you.
Well,
or
that's
whatever,
the point.
You know?
That was the biggest problem I had with that ad is that people were going, "How did you do that? What did you do?" In the commercial, just send it. Send it as a text message. I don't understand this.
Yeah, I know. We have iMessage. It's free. I don't know why you have to touch phones.
Yeah, why do you? It's that NFC. Look, I was a big proponent of NFC until I realized just how lame it actually is. Because
right now, I think it could be better, but in its current incarnation, it's very weak.
Oh,
it's like sending data over Bluetooth. Super weak. Nobody does that.
Well, I was getting into it with somebody on some forum. This is why I don't comment on websites anymore. But I was saying that I looked into NFC because I thought, well, what am I really missing with the iPhone 5? What is it that I can't do? That, oh my God, I need to have this Samsung Galaxy S3 so I can touch phones. I want to touch phones. On the
bottom.
Oh God. Anyway, so I looked into it, and it turns out that in order to get NFC working home, because some people have it working home. In fact, I think Eric said that he has it working home. But anyway. Yeah. What you have to do is you have to get these special NFC stickers, and there are different memory capacities on them. This one person was telling me that what he does now is when he gets to his front door, he takes out his phone and just puts it up to the door, and it unlocks the door. It's better than keys because you lose your keys. And I said, I have had this same key ring since I was 6 years old. I have never lost it. Nobody loses their phone.
Nobody else has a utility belt like you.
No, I don't keep it on my belt, so stop it.
You and your 500 belt clips.
I don't do that.
You don't lose it.
But anyway, yeah, these keys, I just don't lose my keys. And so his point was people lose their keys more than they lose their phone. And I said, how did you get in your car if you lost your keys? Because I keep my keys on the same key ring. So, I mean, it was this silly argument that I think that what he was basically trying to say was it's new technology, so you should use it, and it's better than like analog technology. And I can do this when I walk into a room. It can automatically turn my lights on. Well, you still have to whip out the phone and put it up to a sensor because the range of NFC is not very far.
Yeah, it has to be like touching.
Yeah, it had touch my phone. So again, I said, well, is it really that difficult to flip on a switch like everybody else on the planet?
Yes, I hate that.
So anyway, my point is that this whole commercial, if you break it down, really just shows how silly the commercial is. And it made us look, well, they tried to make us look bad, but in fact, I think they just missed the entire point of their own phones.
Yes. How dare they make fun of our standing in lines ways.
Touch my phone.
I like standing in lines. I'll do it every time.
Similar to Apple Maps, tell everybody what happened to Scott Forstall.
Oh, yeah. So Scott Forstall, who I thought he was probably the most like the second coming of Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Got the boot, unfortunately, this year. Because, I think it had a lot to do with the whole Apple Maps thing. Scott Forstall was head of the iOS division and really was the guy in charge of the Maps project. Mm-hmm. And when it turned into a gate, a Maps gate, Tim Cook wanted to apologize publicly because, he's not Steve Jobs. And Scott Forstall, who worked and was brought in to Apple by Steve Jobs when he came back from Next, Scott, really was more like Steve Jobs in that he didn't want to apologize for anything. And when everybody said, well, Steve wouldn't have apologized, yeah, you're right. And Scott didn't want to. And he refused to put his name on the very public apology that Tim Cook eventually put out. And that, coupled with apparently he was a bit of an ass, and oh my God, so was Steve. But
he's not Steve. That's the difference.
That I know. It's funny, like he has so many similar qualities, I feel like, to Steve, and all these things worked for Steve Jobs, but they just really counted against Scott Forstall, unfortunately. And it really is a new company under Tim, and so Scott got the boot.
Yeah. And Apple Maps were a mess, and there are some other issues with iOS that were not as good because of some of the changes apparently that he made. And yes, people did say that he's trying to emulate Steve, but you can't emulate Steve and not be Steve. You're not Steve. Stop it.
Right, and especially like I said, under new management, Tim is a totally different CEO, and he's really, you can see, kind of starting to drive the company in a slightly different direction, not for the worse. And yes, they're still kind of coasting under projects that were initiated before Steve passed, but they're not headed up by Steve anymore. And so the same shit's not going to fly.
No, it's not. So good luck to him, but that just doesn't work at Apple anymore. Nope. Apple stock broke 700. Yes. And then you added and then quickly receded because of all these issues that were happening. So
yeah, no, the stock market, I don't think likes heavy shakeups like this.
No. So no, when you're big, see, the thing is, Apple is such a big company. I think people don't understand exactly what goes on at Apple. Like, they have a responsibility to a lot of people, shareholders, customers. They have a way of doing things, and you can't mess that up. You can't mess that rhythm up. So I'm looking at the stocks app right now. Apple stock is at 515.06. So it dropped from 709 to 515. That's a huge drop.
It is, and in a very short period of time. Like the last time they were at 500, I want to say was over a year ago, and it took them a while to get up to 700. And then after the iPhone 5 came out, and it was a little bit of, well, I can't even say it's a flop because they've sold more than any other iPhone to date in half the time. So it really isn't a flop, but a lot of people were saying it's an unnecessary upgrade. They could have put more into it. They're, doing the, now I totally blanked on the phrase.
What, NFC?
No, like planned obsolescence.
Oh, yeah.
That, they're forcing you to upgrade every year for just a little bit so that they can keep, substantial upgrades every year. So they don't want to blow their whole wad on one phone,
sure,
so to speak. And then the maps thing and everything. So a lot of that was kind of a perfect storm for the stock to drop $200.
What would you put into an iPhone? What would you have put into an iPhone 5 to maybe make it a little better, hardware wise? Because there's not much out there. If you look
the
at
only
all
other
the other
thing
phones,
I can think of is really NFC,
which is pointless.
Which is, just a fun kind of quirky thing.
Right. Which
wouldn't really, it's not going to make the phone faster. It's not going to make cell reception any faster or better.
Because you've already got 4G LTE in this thing. So what else do you really need?
that was the big thing.
And that's why when people come up,
Retina. I don't know what else.
People come up to me and they say, "Why am I a Samsung Galaxy?" Well, what does it have? On a hardware level, what does a Samsung Galaxy S3 have that this doesn't? Other than NFC, which is obvious because we're talking about it. There isn't anything that really makes me want to switch.
No, I think the only people that are switching are the people that don't like the closed platform. So they're switching to Android more than anything, and it just so happens that the Galaxy S3 right now is one of the best Android phones out there. So if you're going to go to an Android phone, then you're probably going to go to that one.
Right. Do you remember how you just reminded me of one last thing that I wanted to talk about? There was an article that was written, I can't remember where it was, and I didn't write it down, where the best thing about Apple is its ecosystem. What is the word that they used? It wasn't caged, but there was some
Walled garden?
well, not walled garden. It was
something like crystal prison or something like that.
Well, no, it wasn't quite that negative. It didn't have that negative connotation in the phrase, but it was basically saying that the best thing about Apple products is, in fact, the ecosystem.
Oh, not just the iOS.
Yeah, the iOS.
The whole ecosystem with the Apple TV and the Mac and how they all work seamlessly together.
Because the one thing that Google doesn't have
is an operating system for the desktop.
A true operating system for the desktop. Yeah, there's a Chromebook. Yeah, I
Chromebook.
get that.
That's not an OS. It's all
not
browser.
a real OS. So that's really what it had. So what this person did was compared the Apple ecosystem with the Google one and the Windows one. And Windows has a good one.
Windows one is really the closest competitor, I think, with Windows 8 and Windows Phone 8 and the Xbox.
Yep.
They have an ecosystem, and that's really the only true competitor because Google doesn't. They're missing that one desktop component.
Mm-hmm.
But Apple's ecosystem, again, I think it just works better. It's just nicer, and there's nothing I can't do.
Right.
Like just the other night, we were getting ready to watch a Clippers game, and we couldn't. We didn't have cable up here, and it's on ESPN. So I got go to ESPN.com, and they had it streaming on there. So then we pushed from my computer, the whole screen, mirrored it to the Apple TV, went full screen, and it's like we were just watching it normally.
Right. And that's the whole point that's one of the reasons why I like Apple's hardware, software, because everything ties together. There are other reasons, of course, but could you do that with Windows? Not easily. Could you do that with a Google product? I don't see how. Maybe there is. Maybe there is a way to do it, but I have not seen some way, like you said, to take, like, where are you going to stream it to? They had that
well, Google TV, but I don't know that it has that same kind of push component. Like you can just mirror the display instantly, and there's no lag. It's done. I hit one button literally, and then we're watching it on TV.
Right. And that's one thing you can. People that don't like Apple products for one reason or another, I don't like the walled garden such. Try it. I'll bet you a lot of people haven't even tried it. I will bet you any amount of money.
Try it. You'll like it.
No, really. I will bet you that a lot of people that don't like Apple products have never tried it. I think.
You could say that about a lot of things.
Sure. I'm sure that Apple, that the Android people could say that about iPhone fans, but I've used Android, and I just look at it and I go, no, it's just a cluster. It's just I don't like it.
All right.
That's
not get on that tangent.
Yeah, because the old man's gonna come out with iTunes 11.
Oh my God!
You heard my iTunes 11 rant.
So,
all right.
Remember when Tim Cook earlier this year said that 2012 would be a big year?
Yes.
He was not lying. We have a fat list of products that either came out, new product categories that had emerged, or products that were updated immensely.
All right, go for it. Give us the list.
All right, iMacs 27 and 21, Mac Mini, MacBook Pro with Retina 13 and 15, MacBook Air, iPad 3 and 4, iPad Mini, new product category, iPhone 5, iPod Shuffle, Nano and Touch, Apple TV, macOS 10.8 Mountain Lion, iOS 6, and EarPods.
Wow. That's a lot. You know, it's funny because at the beginning of the year when Tim Cook said that, he says, we're going to have a big year. I'm thinking, what are you going to have? Another iPad?
Things like, you're
all this stuff.
Update every product under your umbrella and then create new ones.
Mm-hmm. So, all right. How much of this list have you actually bought?
Not that much, actually. I got the iPad 3, iPhone 5, iPad Mini, Apple. Oh no, I have the the later Apple TV.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this current gen. I have Mountain Lion, iOS 6, and EarPods.
Okay, I have. Well, this is an older iMac. I couldn't wait because my other computer is dead. No, my MacBook Pro still works, so I didn't buy a new one. I bought an iPad 3. I have an iPhone 5. I don't really have any use for an iPad mini, so I'm not going to be looking into that. And I have no use for an iPod.
Try it. You'll like it.
I bought the latest gen Apple TV, and oh my God, I just love it to death. Let me tell you a little story quick about the Apple TV. We have a TiVo Premiere XL, which has Netflix. And the problem with it is that it pulls in the video in HD slowly. So what that means is when you start watching a show, like we watch
longer
kids
buffer.
Kids watch. No, not the buffer. The kids watch like Sherlock or something, or Merlin on Netflix. It'll take about 2 to 3 minutes for the crappy pixelated picture to switch over to HD. Whereas I said, okay, we're going to try this on the reason why I didn't do it on the Apple TV immediately is because we always have the TV running, so it was more convenient. So I said, all right, I'm going to try this on the Apple TV. We'll see what happens. Every single time it fires up in HD immediately.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I've seen that switch. Unless we're...
It happens on the web. And it's not
that's
my
the only time I think we see it is if we're watching HBO Go in the browser. Then if the stream starts, if like the internet, our wireless starts to crap out or get full, I don't know. There's parts where you can see kind of the traffic start to build up, and so it will try to switch and just keep the stream going, so it'll get like worse picture quality just to survive, but.
And every component in the house is wired. Okay. So it's not wireless. Everything is wired, and we have FiOS, and we're doing 35, so it's not that. So
weird.
It's very good on Apple TV. And there's another thing. If this is sort of a quick tip for people that might not know, the remote app on the iPhone and the iPad will allow you to type in the search fields on the Apple TV. Love that.
Yeah, that's a must if you have the Apple TV. Like the crappy remote it comes with is okay for navigating, but if you have to type with that kind of cross keypad type thing, forget it. You'll be there all day, and it's horrible. And then like if you miss punch, oh my God, forget it.
And of course, Mountain Lion, iOS 6, and the EarPods. So.
Yeah, if you have a Mac that is running i3 or greater processor, you need Mountain Lion. Don't just shut up and go get it.
And I just want to show everybody on camera. This is where my Mountain Lion install is. It's this tiny little 8 gigabyte thumb drive. And what's even funnier is that after I bought this thing, I found a smaller one. That's 16 gig. Look how tiny this thing is.
Because that one is just too fat.
No, it's just funny that we had CDs and DVDs of OS 10 installs for so many years, and now it fits on this tiny little thumb drive. It's just amazing how technology is progressing.
Well, what's even more amazing than that, and I think I told you earlier, was the reason why the Microsoft Surface RT doesn't have a 16 gigabyte version. They start at 32 and go to 64.
Why?
Because the OS takes up 12 gigs. And that's RT. That's their mobile version, which is light. Compare that to Mountain Lion, the full desktop, which is just a couple of gigs. Crazy.
Optimization. Products that died in 2012.
Oh, we should have some funeral march music.
I don't have funeral march music. How
about Imperial March? Dun 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 dun. I'll just sing it for you.
Here, I've got this. Does that work? No.
It's upbeat.
It's upbeat. Products that died in 2012. The MacBook Pro 17-inch. Really surprised that they killed the 17-inch. I can understand it though, external monitors and such today, but
this died when the Retina 15 came out, possibly because the Retina 15's highest resolution is the native resolution of the 17. So maybe they felt like nobody wanted to lug around a truck laptop.
Yeah.
But I feel like there are people that did.
Yeah, I had two. I bought two over the course of the last few years, two 17-inch MacBook Pros, and I love them. Yes, they were a pain in the ass on flights. They really were.
Yes, they didn't fit on the tray table.
So maybe they got feedback about that. Maybe they just said, look, we love your products, but not that it's Apple's fault.
Well, no, they have a 15. It's not like there was not a version that did fit on tray table. Just don't get the 17 if that's such a big thing.
Yeah. The white MacBook.
Yeah.
I know some people that love their white MacBooks. And Ping died.
Well, no one's sad about that.
No, I'm not sad about it. There were some things that I discovered using Ping. Not a lot. Not as much as like if I use Spotify more often. But
Spotify is going to shove it in your face whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I know. And then you get emails. Casey is jamming to whatever.
See, you and Ed both get showered with these emails. I don't get a single one. I have no idea what you guys are complaining about.
Maybe they go to your spam filter or something, but I get tons
I don't know.
of stuff.
I've never gotten one about people on Spotify, and Ed has the same gripe. He's like, "Fuck, will you just stop using Spotify so I'd stop getting these emails?" I'm like, I don't know what you're complaining about. I don't know.
Here, I just got one yesterday. It says, "Michael, want to hear what Vincent has been jamming to?" Right, and then I'll get that
shit. I'd open Spotify,
and then I'll get another one. Wait, let me scroll down. I might have deleted it, but I get them all the time.
There has to be a way to shut that off.
There must be.
Clearly, I am just superior at navigating settings menus than you two boys.
All right, what are the products for 2013 that we think are coming?
Hopefully, fingers crossed, for someone in particular, we will see a Mac Pro.
Yes, I want a new Mac Pro. Damn it.
And an Apple television.
Not Apple TV.
Big television set.
Yes. There are these are strong rumors. Tim Cook himself said that this is a market that they're looking into, and so
I know they're looking into it, and whether they actually do, the TV or just upgrade the hockey puck to a something that's more akin to a cable box.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're looking into, because that's really. It's really another huge frontier that they haven't revolutionized yet, and everybody's waiting for that next big thing, like the iPod or iPhone.
Yeah. So we'll see. I said this with Langley last week, because I know you listened to it. The only thing that I have an issue with Apple getting into that market is, can they fill the television sizes that people might want? 30, 35, 36. Then you get into the 40, the 42s, the 45s, 50,
be willing
60,
to bet
80.
They would drop. They wouldn't even bother with the 30 and 40s. Maybe start in the high 40s, but I bet they would start in 50 and 60s.
Or could it be that they could just license the technology and say powered by Apple Television? Powered by Apple TV. Do that. No, you don't think so?
That doesn't sound Apple at all.
I know, but it's just that the television market is so vast and different.
So is the phone market.
It's different, though. It's a little more personal because you have your phone, whereas families have different size walls maybe they want to hang it. And
families have different size computers, you know, and for some people, there's one computer in the living room or the family room that everybody uses. I could see that being kind of the same argument.
Mm-hmm. And next year, what do you think Apple has to do in 2013? Because this has been a tough year for them as far as competition.
Yeah, I know. Windows Phone is really kind of. Well, I want to say they're heating up, but at the same time, they're really not.
Well,
they're getting better, no doubt, but their platform is still not very deep. The apps. We're still kind of shallow in that end.
Mm-hmm.
And Android's come very, very far. And then definitely the competition is getting more fierce between Android and iOS. Far more fierce between Android and iOS than Windows Phone, even though I'd say Windows Phone is less derivative than Android.
I would agree with you on that 100%. If I had to give up Apple phone for a month, let's say, and I had to pick between Android and Windows Phone, it would be tough for me to decide which one, because the Windows ecosystem, so to speak, is better. But Android does have a lot of the things that I would like to do and fiddle with. But they both suffer from the same issues of not getting updates on time for certain carriers and things. So I don't even know. That's why I just like the day Apple iOS comes out, it's there, and I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen.
I know. New hardware.
Yeah, well, Mac Pro and Apple TV.
That's pretty much it.
That would be new hardware.
That would be new hardware, or something new, something that we don't even know about, like Google Glass or something like that. I mean, I can't see Apple really getting.
I can't see Apple doing that either.
That's a lame example.
I could see them doing a smartwatch, though.
Well, sure.
There's kind of those rumors. Why did they change the Nano to a form factor that can't be a watch when that was kind of a rich little niche market with the watch bands and everything, and they were doing watch updates to the Nano? Why did they then kill it?
Yeah, it seems silly to me. Really did. And staying relevant.
Well, I don't think that's going to be hard for them to do.
No, it's not going to be hard. Well, first off, in the music department, no. They're not going to have any problems with that. They're going to be very relevant. I think iTunes is going to be around for quite a while. People say Google Music. I've tried Google Music. No, for a lot of reasons, which would probably be
Hey, you know what's
an
kind
hour.
of interesting that I've been playing around with lately is Sony's music platform.
I heard, I've mentioned it on the show and I forgot about it. So what's it like?
Well, they just came out, I think, a week or two ago with an iOS app, and that's how I kind of found out about it. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing on the PS3 that I never use. You can, load it up in the browser. So there's like a web-based app. There's no desktop app. You load it up in the browser, kind of like Pandora. But then there's an iOS app, and you build a library, unlike Spotify, where you just build playlists. In the Sony version, you build a library, which is more, I think, what people are kind of used to with iTunes or anything else.
Okay. I'll have to give it a shot. All right, before we go, our apps of the year.
Yes, I didn't
which
make any.
You didn't make a list, so
talking.
I will start. One of the things I love about doing these things is that the Apple platform lends itself to a lot of apps that make it a lot easier. So for me, my apps of the year, at least for iOS now, I actually should get a list of... I'm sorry, the Mac OS, not iOS. For Mac OS, TweetDeck, Soundboard, GarageBand, Xcode, Feeder, and CyberDuck.
You really couldn't pick just one, could you?
No, I couldn't. On iOS, I mean, it's Google Plus, Instagram. What else am I using here? Well, I'm not so much on a regular basis, but like Google Maps, Flickr. There are some apps that I use for World of Warcraft. The Authenticator, the Armory. There's even an EverQuest 2 mobile app which I use. Shazam is I don't use it all the time, but when I need to find out what a song is, then I use that. So those are my apps for the year. The ones that are on my first 2 pages. And you're still typing.
I don't have as many as you. I don't use that many. I mean, I have a ton of apps on both my Mac and my iPhone, but the ones that I really use every day are probably just in one folder. For the Mac, this app that I don't think I've ever talked about on this show, but I just found it late in the year, and I have been using every day at work for design, when I make comps, when I'm writing CSS. I think it's only a couple bucks on the Mac app stores for the Mac only, and it's called SIP. It's like a little droplet type of app. It sits in your menu bar, and all it does is it pulls and identifies the color of something.
Oh, interesting.
So if I say I forgot what color I made the banner, instead of opening up the banner pick in Photoshop, and doing the eyedropper, I can essentially do the eyedropper live on whatever's on my screen. And then it'll give me either the RGB code or the hexadecimal code and automatically put that in my clipboard. So then I go back to my CSS, start writing, and I can just paste in the hexadecimal code into my CSS, and I'm on my way.
So this it's $1 in the Mac App Store.
There you go. Easy, and I use it. Like I said, I use it every day.
Okay, it has has 1 star, then 5 stars.
Oh,
and
I'm gonna have to go
2 stars.
Write a review. It's fantastic.
Well, it says picker is not accurate on the Retina MacBook, and you don't have a Retina MacBook, so you can't really comment on that.
I mean it gives you like a little magnifying glass crosshair, and it's down to the pixel, but I'm not on a Retina, so maybe that's the problem. Mm-hmm. Where it'll on mine, the non-Retina, it'll pick out 1 pixel, and so then it's pretty accurate for me. But maybe on a Retina, where that 1 pixel is 4 pixels, it has a little bit of a problem. Maybe.
Right. All right, I think we're done. We got a new year coming.
Yep. Lots to look forward to. We've got Macworld in January, CSS in January, CES in January.
See, I'm telling you, you're looking too much at that CSS.
I know. I've been coding too much, I think.
All right. If you want to contact us, I am at StarMike on Twitter. Casey is Casey Queso, the Casey, not the cheese. KACEYKASO. Infinite Loop Show at gmail.com is our email address. Infinite Loop TV is our Twitter ID. And of course, we're at the infiniteloopshow.com. Write us a review. Tell us how awesome we are.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Because
we are. All right. Thanks for watching, listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye. Happy New Year. Yay.
We like Macs.